Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Andrew Eborn Show. And I'm delighted that my incredibly wonderful guest is Laura Lian. How are you, Laura?
Hi, Andrew. How are you?
I am incredible. I'm so delighted to have you on the show. You are such a star. And everybody is begging to have you on their show at the moment because of your John Lennon.
Oh, I don't know. Thank you. Thanks.
It's always a thrill. And what I love is looking at social media. We know loads of the same people. I saw your little Facebook post saying how hot you were, and you're listening to United DJs and with the old mate Mike Reed and Tony Prince, and you're all out there doing it, aren't you?
Yeah, they're great guys. I've known them for quite some time, Mike anyway, for a long time. So, yeah, it's all good.
It's all. Yeah. And where are you at the moment? Whereabouts are you calling in from?
I'm in Liverpool in Airbnb.
No, I've heard of Liverpool, and it's been, I mean, a big issue at the moment, isn't it? You know, about the Cavern Club. Have you been along there today?
Yeah. It's mad. No, I wasn't there today, but no, I was at the Penny Lane Trust where the statue was being unveiled. But I have heard about the Cavern, and it's just so much a part of Liverpool. It would be just absolute madness to close it down. I mean, it's like, no, don't do it. COVID or no COVID, stop.
And I think that's the issue, isn't it? I mean, the history there, I mean, it oozes history from every inch and every little nook and cranny. And you see, I mean, the BBC have been covering it extensively. We've been looking around the world. Everybody but everybody knows the Cavern Club. And it would be scandalous to close it, wouldn't it?
It's absolutely. I think it's just gone too extreme. I mean, okay, do a bit of the COVID, sort of distancing and everything, but not to close it down, no.
Yeah, I mean, the real problem is, like a lot of venues, is trying to make it financially viable, because if they can't open up to the general public, they're getting no money in. I think they're bandying figures around of 30 grand a week they're losing, and so on and so forth.
No, I think them and quite a few businesses. It's the COVID's the devil in the deep blue, isn't it? And if the devil's the virus, I think I'd go for the deep blue.
I think you're probably right, actually. And I tell you what, deep blue would suit you as well. You'd make deep blue look sensational, all that sort of thing, which is a joy. But you were saying you were up the road a bit at the Penny Lane Museum. How did that go?
It's not a museum as such, Andrew. You have to come over here and get educated to live.
Okay. Well, you're going to convert it. I say everywhere, that every street, the reason I call it a museum is that every street in Liverpool is what I would call a living museum. And you can walk, just as London is what I call the living museum. You can walk around every single nook and every single cranny, and that oozes and screams out a story.
It's true. I mean, the Beatles were inspired about all the streets around them and where they lived, and John and Paul. John lived in the Penny Lane area, and so they wrote all the songs. I mean, it's just an ordinary street, but it put it straight up in the. It's one of the biggest branding names you can get.
A living museum, as I say, we've got to convert it. This is what I say. You've got
a point. But the Penny Lane Development Trust is something else. It's a community centre to help people to, just to help the community. And Julie Gornell there thought, well, why don't we have the statue there before the planning comes through to have it in Penny Lane, which is where St Barnabas Church is. So if you don't know Liverpool, then you won't know that. But it's right in the centre, and there's lots of, traffic around and people, and quite open. So that's the plan. And the councillors, Richard Kemp, who's really spearheading it. And it's thanks to him that it's got this far. It was travelling last year, by the way, the statue. Went to Glastonbury,
Yes, I saw a picture with you with Michael and things like that. So that was wonderful stuff. So it's and is it still up for sale at the statue? Because I see on your website it was up for sale at one point.
Yeah, well, what's happened was, it's a bit of a story, but I'm going to just cut to the chase. As soon as the funding's in place, it'll stop touring. People are paying for the tour bit, but I need the funding, which I invested myself. I mean, originally it was supposed to go to Strawberry Fields, but
another living museum.
Another living museum, but the Salvation Army had a change of heart.
Oh, really? I thought Salvation Army kept on marching. They never have a change of heart.
The Salvation Army are Christians, and they just don't want anybody idolized above God. And that's fine, whatever. That's okay. I respect them. I respect what they're doing for the children's home there. I don't want to say anything negative, but it kind of left me in the lurch. And so I had to make a decision. Do I continue with the project and hope that I will get a place for it and the funding for it? Or do I just put it on hold? And I just thought, you know what, Andrew, I thought let's just do it. I'm getting too old to
just to keep on going.
I might be in COVID. Hey, we're lucky we're alive.
I'll tell you what, we are so lucky.
So I thought I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm going out. So if people do want to, if people do want to buy it, how would they do that?
Just go to their bank and transfer them.
Just go to the bank, sell your house, sell your children, get enough money, look behind the sofa. Once you've got enough money, get in touch with Laura and she'll flog it to you. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Like that. No, so in all seriousness, Rich is going to start some sort of funding raising.
Okay.
And okay, if someone was to, some millionaire Lennon fan, you know, reach in his deep pockets, and they have to be quite deep,
right.
then great. You know, it's the statues for the community. I made it for peace, you know, for the peace message. And it's for the community. It's hoping to raise money for the local charities. And, you know, so that's the purpose of the statue. I just need to get my funds back that I put into. Basically.
Oh, absolutely, and it makes it clear and sort of screams out, because people talk about struggling artists and so on and so forth, and you can have a fantastic, and your client list is to die for. I mean, I was looking at all of the fantastic things. I don't think there's a single praiseworthy thing that somebody hasn't said about you. I love it, and your list of people who collect your work is a list of who's who, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I did a lot of work with the charities. So basically, they commissioned me to do the U2, which was signed by the band.
Yeah.
I got a fee for it, a reasonable fee.
How much? Okay, I won't ask you. You don't have to tell me, because it's not that sort of interview.
It was reasonable.
Reasonable, is it?
I don't want to say anything about the charity. So, no, they're great. Nordorf Robbins does fantastic work.
Nordorf Robbins, I love, and have been to many of their events. We go to the Cllr Awards. I go all that sort of thing. And the work that they do, for the people who don't know, Nordorf Robbins, well, you just tell us about it. It's a brilliant charity. Tell us about Nordorf.
It's a brilliant charity. And so I'm very happy to help. And, well, I was quite surprised. I went to the event and it went for 22,000. I couldn't believe it.
£22,000, which is fantastic. And all that money, Nordorf Robbins, just to fill people in on the charity, they do music therapy for kids, because they can work out. It's a superb one. They've got a centre here in London where I'm from, you down south, and the work that they do is brilliant. And many artists. And the great thing about our profession is people are so generous with their time. That they will do various events. And I was involved many years ago, actually, with the Nebworth concert. You might remember that. And we had all the artists, because my background is a lawyer. So we helped piece all that together.
Sorry, I don't trust you. I don't trust the lawyer.
You should come out with your lawyer jokes now. I love it. It's got to be good. But we worked on the basis. So we were working with a fantastic team with Silvercliffe and Andrew Miller in those days, and Willie Robertson and Harvey Goldsmith and Bill Kirbishley and the wonderful team at Nordorf Robbins, raising lots of money and awareness for them. And we had all of the Silvercliffe winners. I mean, there was every name you could possibly imagine donated their services, performed at Nebworth, and it was sensational. A brilliant, brilliant day.
What year was that again? I don't know if I was in the, what year was that?
That would have been, I think, around the early 90s.
Okay.
So, and it was down at Nebworth, and as I say, we had everybody from Pink Floyd to Paul McCartney to The Who, to, I mean, everybody. Phil Collins, everybody who was a Silvercliffe winner was on that bill. It was a superb day. And if you look at the credits, what used to be Castle Communications, it subsequently became Eagle Rock. They filmed it and they did the deal and so on and so forth. And if you look at the credits, right at the end, there's a little chap called Andrew Eborn mentioned somewhere. So it's got to be good. Whoever he is.
That's good.
No, but we love it. But what I love about it as well is it's raising money and awareness, which is a lot of things that you do with your fantastic talent. And I've got a lot of time for people who share their talent, not just commercially, but also to raise money and awareness. And what you've done with the John Lennon statue is absolutely superb. I mean, tell me, how did that come about initially?
Well, it's a long story, but I'm going to cut it right short. It was just an idea I had many years ago. And I was trying to do the New York one, and it wasn't going anywhere because it was difficult being over here. And, yeah. Anyway, cut long story short, I decided to do one for Liverpool to start with. And that's when David Bedford, do you know David?
Of course, yeah, great guy.
He tipped me off that Strawberry Fields were having a refurbishment. They might be interested. And of course they were. Well, the one part of the organization was, and the Saudi Army at the time. And so it was a goer. And I thought, great, perfect place for it. Just loved the idea of it being there. You know, I went to Strawberry Fields for the meetings, and it had a lovely energy about it. It was beautiful, gardens, everything. But you know what, the bigger picture, I guess it wasn't meant to be. So moving on, I just got on with it, and that was that, really. I had someone interested to have it in Bulgaria, would you believe?
Oh,
Bulgaria.
I love Bulgaria. That would have been a good trip. What happened to that?
Have you been?
Yeah, I love it. I like to, and what I like to do every year, just go to somewhere really different. Really, we can't at the moment because you'll be locked in quarantine for ages. But I love exploring the world. Bulgaria is beautiful. Did you go along, or did you try and close the deal?
No, the CEO of the Bulgarian bank wanted me to do this big plaque of John Lennon, which I did, and we did it. And I did it for him, and then I showed him the little maquette. He bought one of the little editions.
Yeah.
There's a few editions at the time. And I was working on the New York one at that time. And he said, oh, I'd really love to have this for Sophia. And I told him the price, and he said, I'll get the money. And he got the money, but there's two important ingredients when you want a statue placed. You have to have the permission for the site, and you have to have the funding. We had the position, we had the funding, but we didn't have the permission. The city said no. And really? I think it could have been politics, you know. I mean, who knows? It just takes one person not to like somebody and put a block on it, you know. Who knows? I don't know.
But it didn't happen. Well, that's tragic. You would hope that somebody so important could have found another place for it.
Well, he did, God bless him, he's a lovely guy, Stillian. He did try for Plovdiv. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Oh, it sounds good.
Which is a beautiful culture. I haven't been there, but I had a look online. It's a cultural city of Bulgaria. Anyway, but he's a big, big fan of John Lennon. In fact, he told me, I hope he doesn't mind me saying all this, I haven't been in contact with him for a while.
He's a regular watcher of the show. He's a regular viewer. He writes to me every week, you know. It's kind of good.
He said when he was a youngster, well, not a youngster, when he was a young man, when the song Imagine came out, it took a whole month of his salary to buy the album at the time. That's what a big fan he was, because it was communist Bulgaria then. He wasn't the CEO of the bank. So whatever he was doing, a whole month's, be like your salary buying a CD now or whatever, because I mean, your whole month's on one CD. So I was quite impressed with that story. And of course, the song Imagine moved a lot of people. It says everything. Yeah. It's like, should be really the international anthem for peace, and unity.
Well, I think it sort of is the unofficial one, isn't it? I think a lot of people absolutely take that to heart. And music speaks to so many people. As we say, the work that Northrop Robbins does, it touches the soul, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It is a good unifier, music. Let's face it. It really is. Those tones, you can't help but being moved by some songs. And Imagine, I think, really touched a lot of hearts. And, and that's why I put the word Imagine on the piece thing, because John was onto something.
Imagine this could be yours, you should now put on the sale ticket. And we could work. It's all available, which is wonderful. So who went along today to the opening?
I'm trying to think. Well, the TV show, local TV was there. Because of COVID, there wasn't like masses, but there was a good turnout considering. And there was David. But I mean, to be honest, I didn't even know. Oh, what was his name now? Colin the first drummer of the Quarrymen.
Oh, really? Oh, fantastic. There you go.
It was nice to meet him. And do you know, I met so many people. I'm in a muddle. In fact, I'm quite knackered. So I'm in a dream world at the moment. I don't know what I'm saying. I hope you edited it.
Wonderful things.
I haven't said anything bad, have I?
No, you've never said anything bad at all. You've travelled the world, and we're selling this piece, which is what I love. And talk about beautiful place. I mean, you were born in Cambridge, weren't you?
Yes.
What do you remember? Because I love Cambridge as a place. What do you remember of your early days?
Well, I was born there, but we were brought up in Arrington. So all I remember is hedgerows.
Right.
And the cat's eyes in the middle of the road. And of course, I was very young when my parents went to Toronto. And being brought up in Toronto as a teenager, I was very influenced by the Beatles, and I loved the Beatles, but John Lennon, Yoko's big bed-in. And of course, they went to Montreal for one of their bed-ins, so it was all in the news and everything. And I was really blown away by it all. And it really did something for me. It made me feel that I really wanted to do something to help the world, but I didn't know what I was going to do. I was a youngster, just doing what teenagers do. Like, I won't say, but, but the music was the main thing, of course. And I saw John Lennon and Yoko at Toronto Pop Revival.
Oh, that must have been great. Did you have a chance to meet?
Yeah, 1969. They were on stage. She was in her bag. She was doing bagism and yowling. And of course, I was off my head. We won't say any more than that. And that's one of the main things I remembered at the pop festival. The rest is a blur. The only other thing I remember is Alice Cooper with chickens. They had chickens. In fact, there's a video on YouTube with the chickens. They were throwing chickens in there. That wouldn't go down well now with the animal thing. No.
Wouldn't go down with the chickens either, I can tell you.
Yeah, just throwing chickens around. Well, who else do I remember? The Doors were there.
Oh, the Doors are on. Oh, fantastic.
Jim Morris, I love that guy. I mean, he was one of my heroes in the 60s. So that was right at the end at 3 a.m. when he came on in his leathers. And that's all I remember. Like everything else is a blur. But yeah, John Lennon, Yoko, yeah, very impressive on stage. And yeah, it was good. And the other thing I must add is that there was a Vietnam War going on, right? And we had lots of draft dodgers from America coming over. And it was just normal. Like we were, you know, we used to hang out in cafes because at that time, you had to be 21 to go into bars. Would you believe it, 21?
I know. Still some places in the States, they require that as well. So it's... Oh, you seem to have disappeared.
It stopped.
Oh, there you are. You've come back again. I think that as soon as you mentioned you have to be 21, they barred you. It's going to be good. You're back again. You're back again. You're here.
That was on cue. You froze and I disappeared.
I know, but sometimes this happens. If it does, I'll get you back again anyway. But you're right. In some places, you have to be 21. That's right. And it still happens.
So we used to hang out in cafes and people would come in and they say, oh, this is Bob. He's a draft dodger. Oh, hiya, Bob.
Hello, Bob the draft dodger. Bob the builder. This is Dave the draft dodger. Absolutely.
They used to come in drones, and we thought, yeah, good on you. I mean, they were only 18, and they were below the voting age at the time as well. So, or they were 60. I can't remember the numbers. When I think you had to be 21 to vote, or some weird. I can't
21
remember.
to go in a bar, 21 to vote, all that sort of stuff. Yes, it's around that.
Yeah,
sort of
and in America, they were sent to Vietnam, and they couldn't even vote. That was the big catch thing that everybody was onto. And we thought, yeah, good for you, you know. And they were welcomed over, you know. The Canadians let them in because it was like, you know, who wants to die for what? You know, some useless war that they lost anyway. So I think that was the propelling John Lennon and Yoko, the whole Vietnam War thing, because they were in New York at the time. So it was a hot potato then. And being young and influenced by all this, it kind of stayed with me, you know. And I, great believer in peace and love, my generation, as I say.
Well, no, absolutely, and that clearly sort of obviously influenced a lot of your work. And before that, you studied over in 1976 in London, didn't you?
Yeah, I studied at Chelsea College. I studied ceramics, actually, not sculpture.
Yeah.
But I studied painting. I studied a lot of art in Canada as well. It's just something that was always with me anyway, sort of.
And also because you did Brian Epstein as well, which I've seen the fantastic
painting, yeah.
Which
Vicky Michelle, you know, we were doing a blue plaque thing. Well, not me, but David. Do you know David Graham?
Yes, absolutely. It's a small world. If you look at our Facebook profiles, I'm up to my 5,000, so I've done enough. But I had a quick check. And the amount of people we overlap, if we were a little pie chart, so many people in the middle that we know in the business, it's got to be good.
I know. So, yeah, so she won it at auction, which was great. And yeah, for some reason, I just happened to be I sort of ended up in the sort of music world over the years. I met people. I used to work on the Kings Road Jam when I was at college, and we had the Eagles coming in. We had Curved Dare. Do you remember Curved Dare?
Of course, absolutely. Yeah.
You must know Robert Rosenberg as well, do you?
It's a small world, I tell you. Good old Robert RR, as they say. It all makes sense. It's all good.
I just did a painting of his daughters. God bless me, gave me that commission when I was out of the blue. A lot of people think I just do sculpture. So he emailed me saying, do you know anybody who could do a painting? And I went, hello.
No, absolutely. And that's what I was saying. I thought I'd bring it up because in case people thought
Thank you.
It's just sculpture. I know that you work in many different forms and it was ceramics that you did when you did your studies. And I've seen your fantastic paintings as well, because what I love to do, Laura, is get people back and to give a little spotlight, not that you need it because the whole world's looking at you anyway, but a little spotlight on artists and say, look, hang about. People always think, it's like songwriters, they always assume that there's just one particular genre that they do, but actually people keep reinventing themselves, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, look at Picasso, and look at Ronnie Wood.
Isn't he great?
musician. He's a great painter. Bob Dylan does paintings, drawings.
And I'll tell you about Ronnie is that, and he taught, we know Ronnie very, very well. And I was down in Cannes a few years ago, and I was invited along to a tiny little art gallery. And they said, you'll know the artist, but you won't know him as an artist, what they said to me. And there were 10 of us went there, and it was Ronnie and his girlfriend, now his wife. And we looked at his artwork. We spent all night, the 10 of us together. We all went for dinner in Cannes. And he loved it. And he's a brilliant artist. He captures the rest of the band on stage beautifully, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's very good. He puts a lot of passion and energy into his work. And you can see it, feel it. And there's a lot of people, whatever media they choose, they cross over. And, well, I'd love to play a musical instrument, I must say.
We'll get that sorted. What can you play? Anything?
I got some Adobe thing come up. It always pops up. Me, are you kidding? No. Unfortunately, I did take up the piano as a kiddie, but my parents couldn't afford the piano, so I had to quit.
Laura, I'll give you a clue. That's not a piano, by the way. Okay, that's where you went wrong. You know, if you're doing that, they couldn't afford a piano. You know what? They could afford a drum kit.
That was supposed to mean too bad, me.
I know. That's a Laura drum kit, a little drum roll.
Everybody knows that. The Americans don't get that one. They don't know what that
really
means. I don't think so.
Oh, I'm sure worldwide.
No, because when I came over, people were doing that all the time in the 70s. Anyway,
that's what happened. It was that violin, all to follow from mainly from the movies. Actually, is what they used to do. The bit of pathos. You know what happened is that when people did that sort of stuff, music being the soundtrack to our lives, that's what you used to have. So a bit of violin was always when you had that sorrowful moment. So, but I love the idea. My parents couldn't afford to play the piano, so I learned the violin. I think that would be brilliant.
I tell you what, I'd love to learn the Celtic harp.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely noise as well, isn't it?
Noise, tone, and noise.
It starts as a noise until you get better at it. I think that's what they say.
It'll probably be a noise if I try. Anyway, I can't wear more than one hat and knife. I mean, painting and sculpture. I do a bit of writing. I've written some poems.
Oh, there you
I've
go.
written a story, but I wouldn't say they're any good. But
well, I'll tell you what. Next time we're going to get you on the show again. I want you to bring along one of your poems. What I'd love to do, Laura, I would love to people to understand what a wonderful creative force you are. Because it's such a and I say our spheres have almost collided a few times, and it sounds.
It does seem to be. But before we wind it up, because we could talk for England,
and we will, and
the world. But the most important thing about the statue, especially in this time of statues being hot potatoes that end up in the rivers or whatever. Is that it's a community statue. It's a working statue where I'm hoping that we put these QR codes on for the two nominated charities locally so people can scan it and put donations.
Which are the two charities? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's the Penny Lane Development Trust as well as the Reader. And they're Liverpudlian, they're community-based charities that help people deprived and all across the board. So that's the plan, to have these little QR codes on it. Okay. And when people take selfies,
that would be super. Well, what we'll do, if you send me the links as well, I'll make sure they're all included in this glorious thing, which will go around the world as people learn to love Laura. Yeah. Learn to love Laura. LLL. We love it.
Not me. The message of John Lennon.
Oh, but the message of John Lennon is about love and imagine and that sort of stuff. And it's donating in those two fantastic causes. We will do that. We will bring you back again. Because if we didn't, people would be playing the piano, and that would be terrible.
If I'm still alive.
You will be still alive. I love it.
Who knows? COVID. We're lucky to be alive.
No, that's okay. We're going to be safe. We're going to be careful. We're going to spread that message of love. Imagine the next time. It's going to be superb. But for now, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
It's been an absolute delight. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. So my special guest on a very important day for the Cavern Club and John Lennon, Imagine Penny Lane, fantastic causes. Thank you very much to Laura. If you'd like to contribute in any way, check out the links below. And if you'd like to be on the show, write to me at guests@octopustv.com. But for me, Andrew Eborn, to you, thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.